Welcome friends, welcome to this video tutorial by Zhax-Science. In this video tutorial, we are going to talk about crime scene investigation. And for the previous video tutorials, we have discussed about what is a crime scene and why crime scene is important. So for today, we are going to talk about the steps to be followed on a crime scene. So crime scene investigation, an investigation is simply an inquiry done to reveal the truth. So crime scene investigation refers to an inquiry done by the government officials, mostly the police, to reveal the truth and bring justice to the victim. So normally the police have a full authority to question many people so that the truth can be verified and revealed in the court of law. So crime scene investigation may differ from one crime to another. How a burglary case can be investigated can be different from that of a homicide. The type of crime scene, the type of evidence available may cause a crime scene to be attended different to the one in the another. For example, if there's a transient evidence, what is transient evidence? We can say an element of physical evidence that might be expected to degrade or disappear within a particular time frame. So we find that a transient evidence can be odor, temperature, or imprints, or indentations. So just like the odor, you have to collect evidence as fast as you can. Like the odor, we can say an example of perfume, a, a cigarette smoke. So it can be easily disappear. Again, like for example, a temperature, measuring the surrounding temperature or the temperature of the cadaver or the temperature of the water in the water tap. So you find that the temperature can easily change. So you have to collect it as fast as you can. Imprints and indentation. For example, footprints, teeth marks, tire marks. You find that uh, they can be affected by wind, for example. So the nature of crime and the type of crime committed so can differ from one crime scene to another. The type of crime scene like the indoors or outdoor, you see, the stationary and conveyance. For example, the conveyance. How do you attend a crime scene which is stationary and that is conveyance may differ? So spread or confined. So we find that the way we attend a crime scene that is spreading might be different to that one that is confined. So the first step is to identify scene dimensions and potential safety to the health hazards. So first thing you have to locate the focal point. Naturally, where is that place? What are the dimensions now? So a large perimeter enough to contain relevant evidence to be established. So uh, we have to we have to locate or to mark a large perimeter that is enough so that we won't leave evidence at a crime scene. So when you observe the crime scene, you must also observe for a secondary scene, if it is, in case maybe there is secondary crime scene. So we also have to look around, looking for a secondary crime scene. So to establish a large scene area is more important because you contain all evidence. So identify safety hazards, biohazards, power, weapons, chemical hazards, traps, etc. So contamination and communicate hazards to others. So to avoid further destruction of evidence, you have to communicate among the forensic experts. Again, we have to communicate to avoid contamination. Again, we have to assist the victims by rendering first aid. Maybe if the crime scene involves the people who are injured, is it a accident crime scene? So the victim assistance have to be done accordingly. Establish security. So physical boundaries to be established, you establish by marking using a tape around the perimeter so that it demarcate. Then you restrict access to the bystanders or other people. So depending on the number of people, you have to consider security guards. So we exclude unnecessary people in the crime scene because they will contaminate the crime scene. You protect evidence by limit the number of people in the crime scene. So you have to also to establish entry and exit path so that you won't contaminate evidence in the crime scene. Create a plan and communicate. Now, when you mark the crime scene, now you have to create a plan and communicate what to start and the way to start. What types of evidence are in the crime scene? So determine the type of crime that occurred and determine the type of investigation. Do we want DNA analysis? Do we want ballistics evidence? Do we want toxicological evidence? All those aspects have to be considered when you are planning a program now. So gather data and intelligence from surrounding people and from the crime scene. Determine processing priority, what to start, transient evidence. Legal issues have to be addressed. So identify any threat to evidence, such as weather. You know weather can destroy evidence at a crime scene, just like water, rain. If there's rain, they can wash away all the relevant evidence on the crime scene. So you have to consider and you have to look for the better place. So consider if additional resources are necessary. So if there is need for additional resources, you have to communicate so that the resource might be supplied. So communication is necessary. Outdoor crime scenes are more vulnerable to loss due to the elements. Primary survey. So when you are doing a primary survey, you identify the potential evidence to be collected. You just identify that there is need to collect that blood stain, there is need to collect that cartridge. So a primary survey is important. Then documentation to be done again, whereby you take pictures at different angles and you take good notes so that you use them when you are writing a processing list. So determine the processing list of evidence to be collected. Documentation now. Document and processing. Processing list has to be used when you're processing the scene, you see. Then documentation have to be done in 3 ways or 4. Photograph, you take overall photo, mid-range photo, and close-up photo of different sizes. Taking notes, observation, witness statements. Remember, you have to separate the witness at the crime scene. Sketching, you have to sketch on a crime scene, locating evidence from one spot to another, measurements to be done, tasks to be assigned to individuals. There's one who is going to take pictures, there's one who is going to sketch the crime scene, there's one who's going to collect evidence, there's one who is going to take notes. So proper procedure to be followed when collecting evidence. No evidence must be destroyed or contaminated. So now you conduct the secondary survey. That is the final survey now. You conduct another walkthrough to ensure everything has been processed and recorded. Searching pattern to be determined. You know, depending with the environmental factors, you will choose the search pattern, whether you have used the linear, the circular, or what. It depends with the area you are looking for. So prioritize search area. And preserve evidence. Collect all evidence and keep detailed documentation. Collect one item per time. You know you have to log everything you are doing to account for all evidence collected. Description of evidence should match photograph taken at the crime scene and should also match the sketch plan, chain of custody to be maintained. You know, evidence from different sources to prevent the transfer of evidence from different sources. Item of evidence should not be grouped in a single package. Evidence may be packaged in a single container if the items were found together. Again, when folding, folding of clothing, especially items with the wet blood stain, is not good. Can transfer evidence from one part of a garment to another. You have to air dry them. Dry garments, of course, must be folded. A piece of clean paper should be placed between different parts of the garment to avoid direct contact between the different parts of the garment, thereby preventing the transfer of evidence. What about the packaging now? Packaging materials. Envelope, of course, can be used. Envelopes, bag or boxes, that are made of porous material such as paper are appropriate, yes, for packaging dry biological evidence. So we find that dry blood stain evidence should not be sealed in a plastic bag or a container that trap moisture. You have to know this. What about the liquid evidence? You have to place them in a tube. Tube containing liquid such as the blood should not be frozen because so what about the liquid evidence? Tubes containing liquid such as blood should not be frozen because the volume of a liquid expands in freezing temperature, and this expansion may lead to cracking. So tubes should be placed in a plastic bag to prevent leaks in case of accidental breakage. So liquid evidence should be transported and submitted to the laboratory as soon as possible after the collection of evidence. Chain of custody to be maintained. The eight. Thank you, the colleagues. Thank you for listening, Zhax-Science. God bless you.